Well, hello. My name is Jessica Tower, and I'm here with Dr. Sarah Fallaw. This is a great opportunity for us to talk to her and learn a little bit about a little more about what she is doing for the Michigan Association of Industrial and Organizational Psychology. So I first learned about Sarah's work through a friend of mine who's actually a financial advisor. So he works with Sarah's company to and uses her assessments to evaluate and coach his candidates, or I'm sorry, his clients. So that's how I got introduced to Sarah, and I think that her work is I think your work is very creative. It's a great application of industrial and organizational psychology principles to to a population and an application that we don't really, that isn't very typical. So, so thanks so much for joining us today. And if we could just start out with you sharing a little bit about how you got into your area of research.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And this is a really great chance to talk about IO psychology, which I don't get to do as much as I used to. So thank you for inviting me to chat today. Back when I was in graduate school at the University of Georgia, I worked closely with Garnet Stokes, who is best known for her work in the field of biodata, life experiences, the measurement of life experiences, and really enjoyed that side of psychometrics. That was really my favorite area. And then applied that when I worked for what was Quiz, then turned into SHL and Provisor. It had a bunch of different names. Today it's, now SHL. But, along the way, I knew that my father was involved in market research. So he was a marketing research professor at Georgia State University, and then left that field after doing a lot of consulting as well, and wrote books. The one that was best known was The Millionaire Next Door. And as I started kind of transitioning out of working for a company, had children, started looking at opportunities to create my own business, really began to see that a lot of the survey research that my father had been involved in really was, they included biodata type items. So he asked a lot of questions about current behaviors, past experiences, and things like that. So I began to look at how those same experiences that, again, he studied affluent populations, could those same experiences distinguish individuals from those who are really good at transforming income into wealth from those who were kind of struggling with it? And so what I found over time was that the biodata type items and that measurement of certain life experiences could actually predict net worth regardless of your age or income. And that's, of course, the application of that is in the financial planning field, where advisors are beginning to understand the benefits of helping clients improve their behaviors. It's not just about selling investment products or selling some kind of plan or something like that. Instead, it's really helping their clients grow and change their behaviors in order to be financially successful for the long term. So that's where data points came from, and kind of my journey, if you will.
Great. Well, I can see with the kind of expansion of technology in the financial industry, how financial advisors would need to kind of use tools like yours to really help their clients change on a behavioral level, because some of their area of expertise and the things that they used to do might be, technology can now do that, or it can be automated pretty easily. So.
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think too, the whole industry is changing with the rise of the fiduciary standard. So more and more advisors are having to do what's in the best interest of their client, versus selling them something that may or may not be in their best interest, where they're receiving commissions or something like that. So the whole industry is changing. So it's a really interesting time to be involved in this industry.
Great. So what are kind of some of the key behaviors that you see that drive wealth generation?
Yep. Funny enough, and this shouldn't surprise anyone that's an industrial psychologist, but the same kinds of behaviors, or even if you want to talk about kind of personality related factors, are the same things that predict good job performance in a lot of ways. So we measure something called frugality, and that is really being, if you will, conscientious with your finances. It's living below your means, saving, not spending extravagantly, things like that, being disciplined. And so we find that factor in particular predicts net worth. The other areas are, again, things that you would expect would be related to good job performance, but now we're talking about the job of household financial management. And things like confidence, some level of confidence. Obviously, overconfidence can be a problem, just like they can be for a leader. And being able to focus and planning, monitoring financial health, as well as being able to ignore what's going on around you from a consumer standpoint. So those are the kinds of things that tend to relate to someone being able to build wealth over time.
Okay, great. Can you tell us a little bit about how you developed the assessment and what that process was like?
Yeah, so that was a lengthy process, just like any good assessment would be, right? So it took quite a while, and we now have several, but I'll talk specifically about the Building Wealth Assessment, which is the biodata-based assessment. So that research, again, we went back to the data that my father had collected for however many years. Took certain items and looked at those, but then wrote a series of items. We had about 600 or 700 items in total that we were researching over a 3-year period. And the way that we came up with those was based on a sort of a competency model of what it took to be, again, this household manager. So just like you would go into a job and analyze a job of a call center agent or a leader or something like that, my role was analyzing the job of what it takes to run your household finances. And so from that competency model, we wrote items. We included areas, even things like past or adolescent life experiences. So again, there's a lot of research going back to the 60s and 70s from the University of Georgia about those adolescent life experiences. So wrote items for each of those, collected data over a series, like I said, of probably 2 to 3 years, and then came up with our final instrument. Ran other tests on that, looked at the factor loadings, were we actually separating things that should have been separated, and then finally did some validity and reliability studies on them as well to see which factors were really predictive of net worth. And again, holding age and income constant, because we know that those two things, really relate to wealth. So that was the process. We followed kind of a not boring, but for us it's not boring, but you try to describe that to a financial advisor, and some of them that understand psychology really get it, and others are like, does it work? And that's the same challenge, of course, all of us IO psychologists have in our work, is we have all this great science, but then how do you make it real for people that don't care as much about that detail? But that's how we develop our assessments at Data Points.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
So you work with financial advisors. Yes. Are those kind of your ideal clients, or do you work with other kinds of organizations and individuals as well?
Yeah, primarily we do work with, I would say, financial planners, so individuals that are focused on kind of that large-scale planning with their clients. We work with some financial coaches, which is, when you have, let's say, a client that needs a little additional help with a certain area of finance, they will bring in a financial coach, for example, or refer them out. We are beginning to work with and talk to organizations who are looking at financial wellness as part of a broader set of benefits for their employees, which is really exciting. So we're kind of building that out as we speak. But those tend to be the folks that we work with primarily, or again, those that are doing financial plans and that want to help their clients actually meet those plans once they make them. Yep.
Okay. And what's kind of on the horizon for data points?
Yeah, I think one of the things, obviously, my field of expertise was personnel selection, so that's what I loved and came from. We are beginning to look at, or not look at, we have beta and research versions of our advisor selection assessments that we're beginning to collect data on. So that's on the horizon, which we're really excited about, and I personally am excited about it because it gets back to the field of IO and gives me a good excuse to go to PSYOP again. But that's on the horizon, as well as tying our data to more objective measures of financial performance, not in addition to things like net worth, but also things like savings rate, and then some other market indicators as well. We do have a measure of psychological risk tolerance. So really bringing in some of those objective and sort of, if you will, environmental type and market-driven data as well into our technology. So we have a lot of things on the horizon, but those are the big ones.
Great. That's really exciting.
Yep. Exciting is one way to put it. Yes.
Yeah. So how can people out there learn more about your work and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to our website, datapoints.com, or find us on Twitter, DataPTS, or I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn. So at Sarah Fallaw is my Twitter handle. But yeah, we'd love to connect with folks, and it's always great to chat with other IO psychologists. So definitely connect with us.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time and sharing a little bit about data points. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.